Hello all, welcome to today's webinar. I am Radhika Mujumdar, Videsh Career Mentor and Counselor, and today we are going to talk everything about grad school application process for fall of 2026. Okay, so I'll just start sharing my screen, but before that, if you have any questions during the webinar, keep posting them on chat and we will do our best to answer them. Also, we'll be posting a recording of today's webinar on our YouTube channel later on. So if you feel that you've joined late or if you've missed any content, you can refer it to on the YouTube channel later on. So let me just share my screen, just a moment. Just a moment. Yeah. So today's webinar is all about grad school applications for 2026, and in today's webinar I'm going to be covering everything from university shortlisting to resume to how to build your LORs, how to draft a good LORs, elements of your statement of purpose, and how to build your research profile. Okay, so very important components of today's webinar are your documentation and your research profile, and then I'm going to be talking about a realistic timeline, considering now we are in July, and then we'll be moving on to the further months, so that how can you strengthen your profile for applications for grad school for the fall of 2026. Okay, so if today is your first time attending Videsh's webinar, then I'd like to just give you a short introduction about who we are and what we do. So, Videsh was co-founded by three co-founders, Dr. Raj, Dr. Rajat, and Dr. Sridhar, who are award-winning scientists and researchers from University of Purdue, MIT, and IIT Madras. Okay, so the three of them were in their final year of engineering in IIT Madras, and that is when they actually decided that they want to pursue a PhD from the US, masters and a PhD. So at that time there was no professional mentorship available, nobody to guide them in a professional manner. Okay, and that is when they realized that the importance basically of a professional mentorship. All they had was help from some seniors and a few professors who were willing to help them out. So that was about it, and with that aim they went to they went to US to pursue their PhDs. And there also they realized that a lot of students kept asking them for advice, a lot of juniors kept reaching out to them for advice, and that is how they wanted to help working professional students to land their dream universities, because it's not only about your GPAs, it's not only about your GRE score, so it's not very quantitative. Okay, so a strong application constitutes of a lot of factors that go beyond the quantitative stuff. Okay, so it's a lot about quality, right? It's a lot about what goes into your application, how much heart and soul you've put throughout your entire career to build a strong application. It's not about those changes that you do in those last 15-20 days, and get together a lot of documents to prepare an application. That's not what constitutes a strong application. A strong profile requires more than 4 or 5 months to build, and overall it requires a vision. Okay, it's very important for a participant or an applicant to have a clear vision of what program they want to study, where they want to apply, at least the country of choice, and then we are there to guide you professionally on how you can achieve that. Okay, so with that aim they came to India, and then they founded Videsh. So our mission basically is to help students and participants like you get your dream university. So that's about it, and I'll just get started with today's agenda. Just a moment. Yeah, so today's agenda is all about grad school applications. I'm going to run you through the basics of what constitutes your application. So there are a number of factors that go into making your application. It's not just one thing, it's more than a couple of things. And then the process of university shortlisting. Okay, so university shortlisting also is a very kind of what you can say, it's a very long process, and usually doesn't happen within a week or so. It takes one or probably more months of planning which university you want to go to. A lot of research goes around in to choosing your university and the factors related to it. I'll come to that bit later on, but then that's important. And then we'll dive slowly into the statement of purpose, the letters of recommendation, resume preparation. So the document part constitutes of your SOP, drafting LORs, and your resume. Okay. And then I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of the exams that you need to give in order to submit your applications. And then we will come to a very important part of your applications that is generally very underrated. A very few people know actually or understand the importance of having a research profile. I'm going to be talking about what constitutes a research profile and how you can build your research profile. And then I'm going to be talking a little bit about our professional mentorship in detail, and then we'll be taking a few questions at the end if time permits. Okay, so yeah, so let's begin. So, grad school application constitutes of majorly which program you want to apply for. Okay, so it's either masters, it's either PhD, or it's integrated PhD. Now, how do you make this decision? Is that if you are an undergrad student, mostly undergrad students want to apply for masters, but then they also want the chance of keeping that PhD option open. So in that case, you should go ahead and apply for masters, because later on you can collaborate with professors and extend and convert it into a PhD. So you can graduate your masters and then start a PhD. A masters usually takes about 2 years to complete, and it's more of like a college course with a lot of credit courses. Okay. PhD usually is generally preferred by students who are either working professionals who already done their masters, or like I said, who have had multiple years of work experience and now want to go into academia once again. So those people generally apply for PhDs. There's another option available that is called integrated PhD. I don't know how many people have heard about it, how many of you have heard about it. But then an integrated PhD is a course that gives you an option of graduating out of masters if you feel that PhD is not your cup of tea. Okay, so a lot of universities have an integrated PhD programs, and if you come across one such program of an integrated PhD, it's basically MS plus PhD with an option to graduate with a master's without pursuing a PhD. So if you feel at some point after you go to campus that a PhD is too much, it's too overwhelming, and I don't want to do PhD, you can just graduate from master's and take your degree and move on. So that's about it. And then the basic requirements of having an application basically are a good GPA. Now, GPA is something that is not completely in our control. Okay, there are some of you who might be in their undergrad, or who might have already graduated, who already might be working. So GPA is something that we always work hard to achieve a good GPA, but then that's not always in our control. There are factors that affect your GPA, and due to one reason or more reasons, you end up having not so good GPA. So how you can offset that GPA is the main question. How can you offset it? By having strong letters of recommendation and a strong research profile. Okay, so these are some of the things that will help you offset your GPA to great extent. And then your statement of purpose as well, and your resume. Okay, so through all these documents, what you're telling the admissions committee is what kind of a person you are, what you're passionate about, what your vision is. And you're completely shifting the focus from quantifiables, the scores, the GPA, to what you've qualitatively achieved. So that is somewhere something that we all want to do and we all should do to build a strong application. And then GRE scores, TOEFL scores, IELTS scores, of course, that also add to your application. But then a lot of universities we've seen in the US that have kept GRE optional, that have waived off GRE. So I'll come to that part later on. About the deadlines, like I was talking about, the spring deadlines have mostly passed for spring of 2026, but then for fall the deadlines are coming up in December of 2025. So all of those who are applying for fall of next year, please note that the deadlines are in December of this year. Okay, so during the first or second week of this December usually will be the deadlines. But then one thing also that you have to note here is that you can't apply very close to the deadlines. Okay, so that is very, very risky, and you should apply well in advance before the deadlines come close. Okay, so that is very important. All of those who are not applying for next year and who have started early, for those participants also, I would like to encourage you to build a strong application as strong as possible, focus on your GPAs, and then probably next year or next to next year you can build the rest of these documents. Okay, so for funding, for generally for masters it is sort of difficult to get funding, because the funds are generally allocated to research labs and generally allocated to PhD students in the form of research assistantships or fellowships, partial or full fellowships, so that completely depends. And then there are also a number of scholarships available that are granted from your home country or from the university that you've applied to. So okay, so all the information is usually available on the university website. It's just very important for you to spend a lot of time on the university website. Okay, so yeah, that is what we are coming to next, is the university shortlisting. Okay, so university shortlisting usually requires you to spend a lot of time on a particular university website. And for that, the most important thing to note here is that you should be completely aware of which program you want to apply to. It's completely fine if you've not yet decided whether you want to go ahead for master's, PhD, integrated PhD, but the field of study should be very, very clear. Okay, at least a broad idea of your field of study should be extremely clear in your mind. You should have a complete vision of which field of study I'm going to apply to on a very high level. Okay, so it's okay for you to not go into much details and clear out the specifics, but then on a high level you should be completely aware of which field of study I'm going to apply to. And based on that, generally you should go into a particular university website, check out the program that they are offering. And generally people look at QS university rankings. Okay, but then it's not just important to look at the overall university rankings, because what you find on the internet is the overall ranking. It's important to find the QS university ranking of the department that you're applying to. Very, very important point, and something which you should remember, because it's possible that a university QS ranking might be low total, but then your program or your department might be at a much higher ranking. So that's possible. Vice versa also is possible. So please make sure to check that out before you fill out that information. Okay, so and by fill out that information I mean is that what you should immediately do, if you've not started to do this yet, is that make an Excel sheet. At the leftmost column, write all the names of universities that you're interested in going, and also on the right hand side, on the second column, probably write the name of the program or the department. If you've not yet decided the program, write the department that you're interested in. Okay, and then the column 2 that is shown here is a comparatively hard to fill, and I'm going to come to that part, but then leave that blank for now. And from column 3 onwards you can start to fill out all the information that is mentioned on the university website. So all the information like the application deadlines, LORs, GRE, minimum GPA, TOEFL, QS rankings, all of these the information is available on the program website or the department website. Okay, so that is why I'm saying that it's very important for you to spend a lot of time on every university that you want to apply to, and make sure this list is as big as 25 to 30 universities, because what we are going to do at the end is we are going to shortlist this list into 9 or 10 universities by the easy medium dream rule. Now, what is the easy medium dream rule? This is basically a rule that we use, which generally helps a lot of students to bifurcate universities based on their profiles. Okay, so this the second column we are not filling until the rest of your application is finished. We are just writing all the information here, because the university shortlisting part, those 9 or 10 university selection part, is something that we are going to do at the end, not at the very fag end, but then whenever you've given your GRE, when you know your final GPAs, when you've built your research profile, at that point of time, depending on how your profile looks, we are going to judge these universities as easy, medium, and hard for you. And what necessarily happens here is that we shortlist three easy ones, three medium ones, and three or four dream ones. Okay, so easy universities are very easy for you to get into based on your profile. You will receive an admit from these universities very easily. And then the medium ones are realistically possible for getting an admit, but then the dream ones or the hard ones are a moonshot. Okay, so it will require a lot of efforts from your end to get admits into these dream universities, but then worth applying definitely, and worth including them in your university shortlisting Excel sheet. Because I've seen a lot of students as a counselor that they are not just underrating themselves and underselling their profile, that they've not even included dream universities in their top 25-30 list. So that is not something you should do. You should be very very optimistic about the kind of universities that you want to get admitted to, and that is going to happen when you work on your profile, when you work on the rest of the elements of your profile. But then for now, please remember that you have to make this big list of 25-30 universities, and then at the end, probably in October end or so, we will come down to a final list of 9 to 10 universities. Okay, now we are going diving into the documentation part of the application process. The first document is the statement of purpose. A statement of purpose is extremely important and one of the most I would say the most important documents in your entire application. This is something, this document actually has the strength to offset your GPA to a great extent, and offset all those probably average scores or low scores that you have to a great extent. Here is where you can show your passion towards a particular subject, towards research, and towards all of the things that you have actually built your career around. So it's very important to build a very very good statement of purpose. It has to be immaculate. Okay, and I know it might seem overwhelming at first, for you to write a 1,500 word essay on your entire life and what your vision is. That is very overwhelming. If I just tell you to just sit down and write an essay about your vision and what you want to do 5-10 years from now, that's kind of overwhelming. Okay, so that is why, for ease of understanding, what we've done is we have divided the statement of purpose into four parts. So four parts basically are the thread, the hook, the supporting cast, and the net. Okay, so these four parts constitute a very strong statement of purpose. And what I would suggest you do is, if you're drafting your own SOP without any professional help, what you should do is you should write all these four things point wise, and then you should expand these points to a full-fledged essay. Okay, I'll take you through each of these elements one by one, right? So, what is a thread? A thread is a unifying vision which binds your SOP together. The thread is nothing but a vision. Okay, so this vision has to be completely, it's fine if it's repetitive. It might seem repetitive to you after you read your SOP. It might seem that your vision is appearing more than once in your SOP, but it's completely fine. There has to be one single vision that is writing or that is guiding your entire SOP. Okay, so for ease of understanding, I've just given as an example, this is Dr. Raj's statement of purpose, and this is, I've just shown this as an example. Okay, so at the time he was applying to MIT, he wanted to pursue a PhD and masters in the field of fluid mechanics. Okay, so the thread in his SOP was creating an impact through the field of fluid mechanics. So that was his vision. And here in his SOP, you can see that he's mentioned multiple times that his vision is to create an impact through fluid mechanics. Okay, so that is the thread, and that is something that will bind your whole SOP together with a single vision. Okay, the next point is the hook. Okay, so the second most important part of your SOP is the hook. The hook is your strength, so just try to remember the hook as your strength. So whatever strengths you have on your profile until now, that can be your hook. It can be an internship, it can be your work experience, it can be those promotions that you got at work, it can be your GPA as well. Okay, so it can be a lot of things. And for those who feel that there is no such thing on my profile, a hook can be developed. Okay, even now at this point of time, we have enough time to develop that hook in your profile. And the strongest hook that we've seen in students profile is the research profile. Okay, so a research paper or a research profile is the strongest hook that is available, and that can be developed. Okay, so it's fine, it's completely okay if there is no such stellar achievement on your profile right now. Most of the profiles that we come across are average or just better than average, but this hook can be developed, it can be worked on. Okay, so please remember that. I just want to demonstrate an example here where I want to show you what a hook looks like. Okay, so if you remember in my previous slide, I mentioned that Dr. Raj had mentioned his vision as he wanted to create an impact through the field of fluid mechanics. And then here, immediately afterwards, he writes his hook as how he's worked to achieve that vision. Okay, so here he is written about a paper that he's presented at the Journal of or the European Fluid Mechanics Conference. And later on, he also talks here about the paper that he is preparing for the Journal of Fluid Mechanics. So if you can see, the entire SOP is revolving around fluid mechanics. Okay, so that is the way he has built his SOP, and that is why I am, at the start of the webinar, I told you that it is very important to know which field of study you want to apply to, so that the hook can be developed in the similar fashion. Okay, that is very, very important. Even if you're trying to switch fields, that is also completely okay. You should just be very, very sure of which field of study you want to apply to, and then we can develop the hook accordingly. Now, the supporting cast, the third part of your statement of purpose is the supporting cast. As the name suggests, this part of your SOP does not have a direct correlation with the field of study that you're applying to, or for even for that matter, even your undergrad or the field of study that you're currently into. But then still it is something that is your strength, and still it is something that you would want to mention on your SOP. Okay, so it can be anything. It can be your extracurriculars, probably a sports achievement, a social achievement. It can be an internship also, which is not directly related to your field of study. Okay, so for an example, for demonstration here, I've just shown that the supporting cast in the SOP mentioned by Dr. Raj is an internship that he pursued from ITC in the field of solar panels, in installing solar panels. As you can see, this internship, the topic of this internship has no correlation with fluid mechanics, but then ITC is a prestigious firm, and he wanted to make sure that he is including this internship in his SOP. So that is also, like I said, it can be anything. It can be your teaching experience, entrepreneurship, and anything that you've done, any internship, your work experience, anything that you've done outside of your studies. Okay, which is very, very prestigious. Okay, so that is the supporting cast. And then finally, we come to the last point of an SOP, that is the casting the net. So here we are talking about the pitch to the university. Here is where we make our statement about why they should, or why the admissions committee should consider our application for an admit. And here it is also important for you to know that you should also try, not just try to tell how beneficial the university is for you, but also try to explain what you would contribute to the university, because this is a two-way street. And top universities, or the dream universities in the list that I just showed you, are generally looking for students who are good contributors, who are extremely proactive, who've already done a lot of research on the research labs, the work carried out in research labs, the professors also for that matter. Okay, so that's why I was saying, another reason why you should spend a lot of time on the university website is to scout for professors that align with your field of interest. Okay, that is because what we are going to do here is that we are going to, while pitching ourselves to the university, we are going to write about these professors here. Okay, so here you can see that Dr. Raj has also mentioned these some of the professors, and what you should also do is you should not just research about them and just mention them in your SOP, but then you should also have kind of a thorough understanding of what exactly they're doing, because nobody implicitly and very openly writes about their research work, neither on LinkedIn nor on the university website. But then it's very crucial for you to learn to read between the lines and improvise your SOP in such a way, especially the last part of your SOP, so that the admissions committee feel that this person is proactive, they've done their research, and they are ready to contribute to the university. Usually such students get admits from top universities, right? So finally, just to summarize, the thread, the hook, the supporting cast, and the pitch. Okay, so that is these are the four elements of a successful statement of purpose. Some do's and don'ts here are that it's important for you to not let anybody read your SOP unless they've been themselves through this process. There are a lot of free advices that people give on a lot of things they don't know about, or they have no idea what they're talking about. So refrain from showing your SOPs or your personal essays to people who have not been through the process. Again, don't use any kind of cheesy quotes, cheesy lines, because the admissions committee want to know who you are as a person. And refrain from any kind of chat GPTs, any kind of writing tools, AI tools. Just refrain from all of that. Okay, be very authentic, be very creative. Now we are moving on to the next part of our of the process, that is, just a moment, that is the letters of recommendation. Okay, so the letters of recommendation also constitute high importance in the documentation list, and very very important, very crucial again for you to have a strong letter of recommendation. And a lot of universities ask for three letters of recommendation. So some of European universities also have a requirement of two LORs, but then our preference generally is that you should take two letters of recommendation um, from the academia and one letter of recommendation from the industry. Okay, so that is very very important. Again, very important for you to note that just a moment. Yeah, what constitutes a strong letter of recommendation? Okay, so letter of recommendation actually has to have three elements. The first is the strength, the second is credibility, and third is diversity. Okay, so here you can see that on the left hand side a very generic statement is written. If you can read it, it's a very generic statement. And on the right hand side, it's something that is not over the top, but then uses good number of adjectives. Okay, so that is the difference between these two. That is the difference between a generic LOR and an exceptional LOR. Okay, so the LOR that you can see on the right is exceptional and constitutes as a strong LOR. If you can see, it's not over the top, it doesn't use too many adjectives, but then still it manages to catch an eye of the reader. Okay, so that is very important. Credibility is also something that is very important. Now, by credibility, what I mean is that whatever things you're writing in your SOP and your resume have to be written or have to be in your letter of recommendation. Okay, so that is very, very important. It's extremely crucial for you to not miss out a single point, especially your projects, your research work, all of your work experience also, for that matter, the projects that you've done. All of these things have to be endorsed in a letter of recommendation, because in your SOP, in your resume, one can write anything. There can be a lot of bluff in that. So how do you make your documents credible? How do you make a profile credible? That is by writing a strong LOR and a credible LOR. So it's here I would like to mention that to have that kind of control in your hands, politely request your professors or request your manager to allow you to draft your own letter of recommendation, and ask them if you can send it to them for review. Okay, that is actually something that nobody actually refuses. Actually, in my experience, no professor or manager has refused that kind of a thing, because we're not sending anything on their behalf. We are just sending them a draft, and they are free to change and edit whatever they want and then send it to the university. Okay, so another few examples of the difference between a generic and an exceptional letter of recommendation. Also, an LOR is supposed to make your profile very, very I would say diverse and extremely, extremely strong in all perspectives, in the technical perspective, in the soft skills perspective, leadership perspective. And then it is important for these professors and this manager to endorse you in a very strong way. Okay, for all of those who are in your undergrad studies and who have no experience of working with a manager, or don't have any work experience, research internship mentors also count as an industry experience, or as the third kind of the diversity point that I was talking about. So anything that is above or beyond your professional or your academic requirements goes into the diversity category. Okay, so you can take the third letter of recommendation from your internship mentors as well. So that is also completely fine. We move on next to the resume preparation part. For the resume, here I would like to specify that the resume that we're talking about is completely different than the resume we send out to industries for job roles. Okay, so these two resumes have a stark difference. Only, even if it's written as a resume, resumes don't actually are the same as what you send out for your job applications. I'll just explain that in a bit by giving you this example. Okay, so this is something that constitutes of a resume that you send out for your grad school applications. And education has to be first and foremost. Then there has to be a publication section. So very, very important and crucial for you to have a publication section in your resume. That is crucial. If you don't have a publication section, if you have maybe probably a list of research projects or any thesis that you've done, that also can be included in this section, and that can be converted into a publication. Okay, so it's completely fine, but then there has to be a publication section for your profile to be very, very strong. And under a publication section, generally projects don't count that much of a value as a research publication. So 10 projects, 15 projects won't have that much value as one single research publication. Okay, so Dr. Raj also, when he was in his final year and he applied to MIT, he just had one first author research publication under his wing. Okay, so there were not a lot of research papers, nothing at that point of time. In 2017, we're talking about 17 now. At that time, at the time of his application, he had one research author first author publication, and that was enough to get him a 100% scholarship from MIT. So that is how I want to demonstrate the value of a research publication. It can be one, not a problem, but then it's always better than having 10, 15 projects under your wing. Okay, then key elements of an impactful resume. So like the statement of purpose, it's completely not okay to get your resume reviewed by people who've not gone through the process, or somebody who's working in the industry right now. They would have a different perspective. That is also something, not something that you should do. If your GPA is strong, make sure to include that in your educational qualifications. Some of you might have a very strong GPA, and that is a strength. Okay, so include that in your resume. Okay, extracurricular activities of course should be highlighted, but then any kind of school activities, it's better not to highlight, because that usually does not count for much, and anything that you've done from your first to 10th standard usually should not be included as a part of your resume. So anything and everything that you've probably done during your 11th or 12th grade or your undergrad can constitute of extracurricular, but then also make sure that it is actually impactful, okay, and not just something that you've written for the sake of mentioning it. So that is very important. Like I said, no personal information, no gender, no photo, nothing, because the admissions committee is very, very fair, and they would not really appreciate you giving out personal information. So make sure you don't do that. Okay, again I want to reiterate here that is that your resume, LOR, and your statement of purpose should tell the same story. They should be coherent. Extremely, extremely important. Right now when I'm talking about it, you must feel that this is fine, this is okay, but then when actually those kind of documents are prepared, we see a lot of discrepancy in these three documents. So that is why I want to make this point loud and clear, that all these three documents should be very, very coherent. Not a single point should be here and there. Okay, whatever is there in your resume, in your SOP, should be endorsed in your letter of recommendation by your professors and your manager. Okay, very important. Now we are going to be talking about a few exams that you're required to give for application to grad schools. The first exam is the GRE. So GRE generally, it is not mandatory for a lot of universities. A lot of universities have waived off GRE, not kept it compulsory, have kept it optional. Some universities have also mentioned clearly on their website that even if you submit a GRE score, we are not going to consider it. Okay, so for all of those who want to give a GRE and are applying for fall of 2026 of next year, very, very crucial for you to go to the university list, the university master list that I explained at the start, and look on the program website if the GRE is mandatory for your course, because only for US universities, of course, European and other countries don't require a GRE, and GRE is a comparatively tough exam. Okay, though it only consists of maths and English, it's comparatively tough, and might take approximately 2 to 3 months to prepare for it. Okay, instead, at this point of time, you should rather be working on the rest of the elements of your profile rather than preparing for a GRE. If you've already taken dates for the GRE, it's well and good. You already must be in the preparation phase, and there's this website called as GregMat. So that's where a lot of students subscribe to, and a lot of monthly subscriptions happen. A lot of mock test also you can give on that website, and the subscription is also really cheap. Okay, so that is something that you can go ahead with. There's another English proficiency exam, that is TOEFL and IELTS. So those both of those exams are comparatively easy and won't require much of your time. Okay, so a TOEFL usually has like a score of 105 plus is generally considered good enough. Some countries might not require you to give a TOEFL exam, but then again, check on the program list, on the list of requirements, what your program actually requires. That is extremely crucial for you to check. Some of the programs also have a TOEFL cutoff score, so unless you have the minimum TOEFL score, you won't be allowed to apply to that program. So that is also there as a criteria in some of the programs in some universities. Okay, and then there's this Magoosh app, which is very commonly used by students, which will give you flashcards, etc., to prepare. TOEFL usually won't take more than 2 or 3 weeks of preparation. It's a comparatively easy exam. Okay, now we move on to a very important aspect of your profile, that is the research profile. Okay, so first of all, we talked about the shortlisting of universities, then we talked about the documentation part. Now we are talking about something which should actually be taken into consideration right now at this point of time, immediately, before we move on to the rest of the documents, or even we shortlist, before we shortlist those 9 10 universities. Okay, so a research profile has a lot of advantages, and it can help you to offset your GPA. It can actually help you add a publication section in your resume. You can build a very good passionate story around it in your statement of purpose as well. And then your profile also looks very very strong if you have a research author publication. Even if it's one first author research publication, it's completely okay, but then that adds a lot of value to your profile and actually elevates your profile by 4 to 5 times. So what usually this what usually happens when you have a first author publication is that result wise speaking, what happens is, on your university list, the medium universities become easy, the easy ones automatically drop out. There's a new list of dream ones become medium, and then there's a new list of dream universities that come onto your list. Okay, so that is the kind of effect a research profile has on your university selection. It directly affects the list of universities that you apply to. Okay, so like I said, what constitutes a research profile? A project does not constitute a research profile. International or local research internships also don't constitute a research profile. Okay, a publication, patent, or conference is something that is constituting a research profile. Like if you remember the resume that I showed you, under the publication section, only you can show the things that constitute of preparing a manuscript or something that you've already submitted to a journal or conference. That's it. Okay, it's very wise for you not to write any kind of project information or internship information in your publication section. That is going to give out a wrong impression to the admissions committee that first of all, you have no idea what a publication is, and second of all, there are no publications under your name. Okay, so avoid and refrain from doing these things. And the things that you can see on the right, publications, conferences, and patents, this is something that actually constitutes a research profile. Like I'm explaining right now, your resume, just one paper of publication, just one conference looks a lot better than having 10 projects. Okay, so the resume on the left is much better than resume on the right. Also, very very important point, this is again resume of Dr. Raj when he was applying to MIT. At that time, there was a paper that had not been published. I was talking about, he had one research publication under his name, but then even that paper was not published. Okay, that paper was under preparation, and with the same kind of an update, he had applied to MIT. So look at the kind of strength that this in preparation paper also has, because at the time he was applying to MIT, his paper was in preparation. He had not submitted it. He was on the verge of submitting it, but then the deadlines were closed and he had to submit his application. Okay, so what he wrote in his resume was, the paper is in preparation, and his professor also mentioned that we are in the process of preparing this paper and we'll be soon submitting it. Okay, so here he had given the details of his paper. Okay, so that is how professional you should be, and it's completely okay if your paper is not yet published, but very very important for you to at least start working on your research paper. Okay, and then how you can publish your research papers, there are two ways actually to work on your research paper. First is, like I said, if all of you must be having projects that you've worked on during your undergrad or are working on, these projects can be converted to a research papers. Okay, so that is the first way of how we can publish a research paper, especially for people who are applying for fall of 26. Because for a project, I would say 20-30% of the work is already done. What we need to achieve is some novel results, and we can then work on preparing the paper manuscript. So that is something that will take less time, and it's possible for you to work upon now. The next way in which you can publish the first author paper is by writing a review paper. Now it's also possible for some of you that the projects that you've done in your undergrad don't actually are not related to the field of study that you're applying. It's possible. Or even if it's not the case, even it's the same field, maybe you want to work on something new, and that is where the review paper comes into play. Okay, so review paper is basically a summary of a lot of research papers written on the same topic, and it's useful for people who don't have time or don't want to go through those 50-60 research papers, but then just will read a review paper and will know the summary of all of those research papers. Okay, so review paper is also very highly respected in every field, and it's completely okay for you to begin with a review paper. A review paper will take up the least time, and right now I think the best way to get started with a research or a review paper is by the ways that I just explained right now. The third thing you can see here is the preprints. Preprint is actually a place where we submit our research or review papers first of all before we submit it to an actual journal or conference. Okay, so preprint review is actually very very lenient as compared to the actual journal and conference. And a preprint will generally give, if your paper is okay or more than average, if it has good novel results, then it's very good. You have a very good chance of getting your paper accepted in preprint. Generally we use archive preprint to submit our papers. Okay, so now, yeah, so this is the timeline, that I just want to make you go through. This is like a general timeline where what we do is how we professionally help you. It's just a glimpse of that. What we do is we first identify a topic, and then we ask you to do a lit study, and then uh, we work on achieving results. We then work on writing a paper manuscript. So this is just an overview of how the research or review paper writing looks like, and a kind of a general timeline. Okay, so like I said, a literature review paper is the easiest one to get started with. And if you have a lot of projects, or if you want to work on a new topic right now and you don't have a publication yet, very, very important for you to get started right now. Okay. So yeah, this is the archive preprint that I was talking about. Like I said, you can also convert your course projects into preprints. Okay, so what you can do is, like I said, having a research paper publication, for having a research paper publication, you can convert your already existing projects into a research paper. So what you can essentially do is probably send us a list of projects that you've done, and then what we'll do is we'll pick out the most impactful topic out of all of those, and help you to convert it into a research paper. So that is something that we will do. And then finally, these are the elements of your profile. And even if you go ahead, decide to go ahead with the professional mentorship with us, or if you decide to work on the applications on your own, I just want to make sure that you're completely ready for the process, and you know where to begin from. So first of all, the first step for you, first and foremost important step for you, is to convert your project into a research publication if you don't have a first author publication. Why I'm stressing on first author publication is because second and third author publications don't count as much. Okay, having a first author publication has a different kind of impact. That is the first thing. Then you should start working on your SOP, your resume, and your letters of recommendation. And then finally, when you've done with these all these things, that is when you should shortlist 10 universities out of the 30 university list, categorize them into easy, medium, hard, and then apply. Okay, so the entire application process has to be done through by the end of probably November or so. Okay, and then how you can collaborate with us essentially is that, by, like I said, build a strong research profile, and by crafting a strong application. So what we have done in our long-term mentorship program is that we have divided this program into two parts. The first part is building a strong research profile, and the second part is crafting a strong application. Okay, So submitting to journals or conferences also is our final aim. So what we are aiming to do through the first part is we are submitting it to relevant journals and conferences. And yeah, another important point in your application process is the portfolio website. Okay, so very very important. You can see here that Dr. Raj's portfolio website, and you can create such a website on your own. That is also that is something that is going to add a lot of value to your profile. Okay, another time I want to reiterate this point that your SOP, resume, and LOR should be extremely coherent. Okay, and then university shortlisting, like I said at the end, probably you can add another column where you mention the names of the professors that you want to write about in your statement of purpose, because this Excel sheet basically is going to save you a lot of time at the actual time of submitting your applications. Just a visual representation of how you should be selling your profile. And the black spots here are the weaknesses on your profile. Not weaknesses, I would say something that you're not particularly proud of, but then it's important to project your profile in the right way, as the image you can see on the right. Okay, and you're probably selling it like the image in the middle. Okay, that's not what you should be doing, right? So long term mentorship program has, like I said, already started, and now is the perfect time to work on your research part of your profile if you've not already done so. If you have already begun working on the research part of your profile, then you should move on to the next part of your profile, that is university shortlisting, portfolio website building, and the three documents that I just talked about. Okay, like I said, the phase one will focus on either writing a research paper or a review paper, and phase two will focus on these five, six elements. Okay. This is a research analysis tool that we send to students who've enrolled in our program. And the basic purpose of this tool is to know how well versed you are with research. Okay, so very, very important again to understand how you need to be well versed with, and very important for us to understand if you're well versed with research. If not, where we need to begin from. Okay, so this is for us. Then something that I just want to talk to you about regarding our long-term mentorship program for previous years. These are just a few of the testimonials that we've put together, some sample papers from particularly last year and last to last year. So these are a combination of review papers, research papers, and some of the messages and the um, mails that we've been getting regarding admits. Okay, so these are some of the universities that we have sent our students to, along with a long list of universities that you can view on our website. So you can also listen to video testimonials on our website, and you can also go through the list of admits on the website. Okay, and a detailed list of universities. Again, a few testimonials that we've received from students. Like I said, there are a few video testimonials as well. You can view that on our Fly Videsh website. Okay. In the first part, basically what we'll do is we'll help you to identify good and easy problem statements. We'll teach you how to write papers. We'll help you to set a realistic timeline. So the timeline that I just showed you was a very generic timeline, and what we'll do for you is we'll customize the timeline based on your schedule, because it's possible that some of you are students who have exams coming up probably, or some classes that you need to dedicate your time to, or something else probably. Some of you must be working professionals who work full time, so every realistic timeline is different for everybody. Okay, so that's how we help you with it. And then we also help you to figure out how to submit to different journals and conferences. So basically what we do is we jot down a list of journals and conferences that we should submit your paper to, depending upon the relevance and your field of study. Okay, so that's something that we do. This is just a glimpse of a life at MIT, so just a motivational photo to show you, because it's a lot of culturally enriching experience, a diverse learning experience that facilitates learning from all directions. Okay, And yeah, if you are interested in our long-term mentorship program, just send us an email to hello@flyvidesh.com with all of your details, if possible, and we'll get back to you at the soonest. Before I end this webinar, I also want to show you a few of the things that we've recently launched and some of the things that we're very excited to talk about. So this counseling service is something basically that will give one-to-one counseling to students for their undergrad studies, or for transitions into the AI and ML field, or if anyone or if you're a high school student, you want to apply for your undergrad. Okay, so you just have to join the wait list here, and we'll get back to you. So this is kind of a personalized counseling that you would get for your grad school applications, basically something very very crucial for the fall of next year. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to mention this website in the chat window, so it is possible for everybody to see it. Okay, and then join the wait list if interested, right? So what we are going to do is now, coming to the end of this webinar, I see that there are a few questions. Can research scholars, PhD students give LORs? So research scholars generally are not somebody who should actually try and give LORs, because letters of recommendation have to be from a professor who is either a head of department or has a professor designation. Okay, so that is very important. And like I said, to make a letter of recommendation credible, very very crucial for you to actually have an LOR from somebody who, like I said, has that kind of designation. So getting it from PhD students, if there is like nobody else to do that for you, that is okay. But then try to get it from head of department or assistant professor or a professor. Okay, and then how to enroll in long-term mentorship programs. So I'm just giving you the details of our website here, where you can view the website and where you can see how you can enroll for the long-term mentorship program. Also, if you have any questions about this mentorship program, or if anything that is there on your mind or about the grad school applications, you should get in touch with us, and we'll be there to help you out. Okay, so if you look at the website, there are a lot of bundles that are available. But then before you enroll to any bundle, before you kind of sign up to anything, we want to make sure that that bundle is right for you. Okay, so we take that kind of compatibility very very seriously, and that is why I just want to make sure that you're joining the right program. Okay, I see another question. I have joined late. Can I get the recording of the meeting? So yeah, like I said, you would be getting the recording of the meeting. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel very very soon, and you'll be able to refer it for in future. Okay, so anything that you've missed, anything that is not clear, any slide that you've missed, you can always view it. Okay, so that is completely possible. And so do we do the counseling before choosing the bundle? Usually what you should do is, yes, preferably counseling is the best way to go ahead before you are choosing the bundle, because every profile is different. And apart from the long term mentorship program, there are a few things also that I might tell you to add or delete in your profile depending upon your specific profile. So since it's like a one to one counseling session, it's better for you to go ahead with the counseling session first, and then enroll for the right program. So in the webinar, I just gave a quick idea about what we do, but then every profile is different. Okay, so may I know the YouTube channel name? So yeah, so I will also mention our YouTube channel here. You can view the YouTube channel later on. And then what could be the fees? So I have mentioned the website details here. You can view the website and look at different bundles that we have. That is something you can do. And then yeah, so just a moment. So even if you're not sure about which bundle you should choose, what exactly are the elements of your profile that you should go ahead with, it's still very important for you to write to us on email first, and then we'll take it from there. So if you're interested to book a counseling session, you should join the wait list. And if you're applying for fall of next year, just shoot out an email to us so that we can get back to you at the earliest. So that is, I think, the best way to go about it, and that is how I think you should proceed, especially if you're applying for fall of next year, because that is how it's urgent and we don't have that much time left. So that is something that you should do. Okay, I think yeah, we are now at the end of the webinar. So just a moment. So yeah, I'll be sharing out an email with you tomorrow, most probably, with everything that we have covered today. Along with that, I will also be mentioning the YouTube link. You can view the recording later on. And if there's anything, just write to us and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for attending, and we'll see you in the next webinar. Thank you so much.